Telegram's main short-link domain just went dark, and millions of users just watched their shareable links stop working. The T.me domain, the one you use every time you share a Telegram channel or group link, has been suspended. When you try to access a T.me link now, it doesn't resolve. No error message, no explanation, just gone. For context, T.me isn't some obscure Telegram feature. It's everywhere. When someone sends you a link to join a Telegram group, it's a T.me link. When a Telegram channel promotes itself, it uses T.me. Millions of links circulating right now across the internet in Discord servers, emails, Twitter, they all point to T.me. And right now, none of them work. This isn't a server glitch. The domain suspension comes from the registrar level, meaning someone deliberately took it offline. The Whois records show it's flagged and blocked. This is the action you see when a domain violates laws in a particular country, but Telegram isn't some fringe operation. It's one of the most downloaded messaging apps on the planet. What's wild is the timing. This happens amid ongoing tensions between Telegram and various governments, particularly around data handling and law enforcement requests. Telegram positions itself as privacy first, but that stance has put it in the regulatory crosshairs worldwide. Here's where it gets interesting. This suspension might just be the opening move in a much larger battle. So what exactly is T.me? Think of it like the postal address for Telegram content. Just like you have an email address that people use to contact you, every Telegram channel and group has a username. And T.me is the shorthand way to create a clickable link to that username. Here's why it matters so much. Telegram didn't invent T.me themselves. It's registered through a domain registrar just like any other website. The registrar acts as a middleman between Telegram and the Internet's central naming authority. They hold the keys to whether the domain works or doesn't. If a registrar decides to suspend it, the domain goes dark instantly, globally. What makes this even more significant is that T.me is the primary way Telegram shares links across the entire Internet. It's not one feature among many. It's the backbone of how Telegram distributes itself. When you see a Telegram channel promoted on a billboard, it probably says T.me/channel name. When a journalist shares their Telegram community, they use T.me. When a startup needs to onboard users to their Telegram support channel, they direct people through T.me. The scale of this is staggering. Millions, possibly billions of T.me links exist across the web right now. Every single one is effectively broken. That's not just an inconvenience for Telegram's future growth. It's a catastrophic immediate hit to the entire ecosystem that depends on those links. And that's just the surface impact. Now let's talk about how a domain suspension actually works, because this is where the technical reality gets jaw-dropping. Domains aren't controlled by the companies that use them. They are leased from registrars, companies like GoDaddy, Namecheap, or others that hold domain rights on behalf of the owner. Telegram owns T.me, but the registrar is the gatekeeper. When a registrar decides to suspend a domain, they have different levels of power they can exercise. The most dramatic is what's happened here. They can make it resolve to nothing. It's like owning a house, but the city condemning the address. Everyone knows the house exists, but the postal system won't deliver to it anymore. What's fascinating is that domain registrars don't typically act alone. They're often responding to pressure from multiple directions: a government request, a court order, law enforcement investigations. The registrar is legally protected from liability if they suspend a domain in response to an official request, but if they don't respond to a request, they can face huge fines. So Telegram's T.me domain suspension likely came from an official request, possibly a court order or government directive. The registrar evaluated the request, decided it was legitimate, and flipped the switch. It takes minutes, not days. One decision at a registrar's office, and suddenly one of the world's most important communication shortcuts ceases to exist. The real question is, which government or entity made the request? That's what we don't know yet. Let's look at the real-world impact, because this isn't just a technical problem. It's a crisis for millions of people and organizations relying on Telegram. Imagine you're a news outlet in Eastern Europe. Your entire distribution channel runs through Telegram. Every story goes out with a T.me link. Right now, your reach is cut by more than half because viewers can't access those links anymore. Or consider a humanitarian organization using Telegram to coordinate relief efforts. They've distributed thousands of me links to volunteers who need to stay coordinated. Those links are now broken. Volunteers can't find the group. Coordination collapses. Businesses are hit just as hard. A tech startup that uses Telegram to support customers just lost the ability to direct new users to their community. Their onboarding funnel is broken. A freelancer who advertises services through Telegram can't share their link effectively. A gaming community with 50,000 members can't recruit because recruitment links don't work. The scale is enormous. We are talking about potentially hundreds of millions of broken links across the internet right now. Discord servers filled with dead me links. GitHub readmes pointing to unusable channels. Subreddits full of broken invitations. What makes it worse is the permanence. These aren't links that fix themselves in an hour. Until someone changes the registrar decision, every single link stays broken. Here's what most coverage gets wrong. This isn't just about broken links. This isn't the first time we've seen domain suspensions used as a censorship tool, but the scale here is unprecedented. Let's look at some precedent. A few years back, China pressured domain registrars to suspend certain activist websites. Those suspensions worked, but they targeted dozens of sites, not one of the world's most essential communication shortcuts. More recently, after certain political movements gained traction, registrars suspended domains associated with those movements. It was controversial but manageable. They were niche platforms without massive existing link ecosystems. Here's the difference with Telegram. There are literally billions of me links out there. Every single one becomes unusable overnight. The closest parallel is actually when Internet Archive had to suspend access to archived versions of certain websites under legal pressure. But the archive eventually restored access through legal proceedings. Even then, the impact was limited to one platform. What makes Telegram's situation unique is the political dimension. Telegram operates in a gray zone. Governments want backdoors, Telegram refuses. Governments want data, Telegram says no. For years, this standoff has been cold. But lately, the temperature's rising. From the European Union starting investigations, to Russia restricting Telegram access, to United States officials questioning whether Telegram should be allowed at all. This me suspension could be the first shot in a much larger coordinated campaign to fracture Telegram's ecosystem. This is where it gets serious. Let's zoom out and think about what this means for the future of messaging and decentralized platforms. The me suspension sends a message to every platform that relies on the internet's domain system. It says, if you don't cooperate with governments, we can kill your infrastructure instantly. Think about that. Telegram didn't violate any law, not according to their legal analysis. They simply refused to compromise on privacy. And for that principle, their primary distribution channel gets destroyed overnight. No court case, no appeal, just gone. This creates a massive problem for any platform trying to prioritize privacy over surveillance. If you're building a messaging app or social network and you see what happened to Telegram, you have to ask, is resisting government pressure worth the risk? Can we afford to lose our domain tomorrow? Should we buy backup domains? Should we move off traditional internet infrastructure? For Telegram specifically, they are facing an impossible choice. They can use alternative domains or redirect schemes, but every workaround is slower and clunkier than me. Users drift to platforms that work seamlessly, or they capitulate, give governments data access, and maybe the domain comes back. That's exactly what governments want. The deeper implication is chilling. We've just seen proof that governments can isolate any platform from the internet by weaponizing the domain system. That's a power we didn't fully understand before. And here's what everybody should be preparing for. So what should you do right now if you rely on Telegram? First, if you're using me links anywhere, in your website, your emails, your social media bios, you need to start migrating to backup links. Telegram's official apps have username profiles built in. Instead of sharing a me link, you can direct people to download Telegram, search for your username, and follow directly. It's more friction, but it works. Second, export your important Telegram chats right now. Most major Telegram clients have export features. Save your data locally. If the situation escalates and Telegram faces further restrictions, you'll want a backup of critical conversations. Third, if you run a Telegram-based community, consider building redundancy. Use a website or Discord server as a backup so your members can stay connected if Telegram becomes inaccessible. Many communities are already doing this as a precaution. You don't need to abandon Telegram, just add a backup channel. Fourth, if you're a Telegram user worried about privacy, start researching alternative platforms. This suspension proves that even platforms with billions in funding and millions of users can be isolated by governments. No platform is truly invulnerable. Platforms like Signal and Element offer privacy-first features and decentralized infrastructure that's harder to weaponize against. Finally, if you're a developer or startup founder, seriously evaluate your infrastructure risks. Where is your domain registered? What's your backup plan? This event is a wake-up call for the entire industry. The uncomfortable truth is becoming clear. Telegram's me domain suspension is a watershed moment. It's the clearest proof yet that the infrastructure we all rely on can be weaponized against platforms that refuse to compromise. Governments have just discovered a tool far more effective than blocking access. They can kill a platform's backbone overnight, globally, with almost no warning. For Telegram, the road ahead is brutal. They can fight this, hire lawyers, go through courts, petition regulators, but that takes months. Meanwhile, their ecosystem deteriorates, or they can negotiate, and most of that negotiation will involve compromising the privacy principles that built their empire. For you, this is a reminder that centralized infrastructure is fragile. Every service you depend on, your email, your cloud storage, your social networks, sits on top of domain registrars that can be pressured to cut them off. That's a risk we need to think about differently moving forward. But here's what this really signals. Governments are getting more aggressive about controlling digital spaces. This won't stop with Telegram. We'll likely see more domain suspensions, more pressure on platforms to comply, more of this regulatory scorched earth approach. The internet's golden age of relative freedom is shifting. We're entering a new era where infrastructure is a weapon. The question isn't whether platforms will face this pressure, it's how they'll respond. Will Telegram hold the line on privacy and rebuild, or will they capitulate? Whatever Telegram does sets the precedent for how every other platform responds to government pressure. Follow for daily AI news.